With fewer than 1.5% of the votes to be counted, provisional results suggest Moldova has voted by the slimmest of margins to join the European Union. 50.31% voted in favor of EU membership after warnings from authorities of Russian interference in the referendum. Polling before the vote had suggested the referendum would pass comfortably, with about 60% of the country's voters in favor of the move.
Avem probe și informații.
We have clear evidence that these criminal groups aim to buy 300,000 votes, a fraud of unprecedented scale. Their objective was to undermine a democratic process. Their intention was to spread fear and panic in society. We will not back down from defending democracy and freedom. We are waiting for the final results and we will respond with decisions.
The former Soviet state applied for EU membership after Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. At the same time, Moldovans have also voted in the presidential campaign, with the pro-EU incumbent Maia Sandu receiving the most votes, but not enough to avoid a runoff election on November the 3rd. Joining me now is Associate Expert at Eastern Europe Studies Center, Denis Cenusa. Denis, really good to have you on the program. Now, there's roughly 1% of the ballots left to count, but it looks like that yes vote might be across the line. Now, why was this result so close, given that the polls earlier had predicted 60% would vote in favor of yes?
Yes, thank you for the invitation. All the surveys were showing that the vote camp will win, and that was somehow a very big miss for the promotion of the referendum. I think that the two factors that led to that were the boycotting, which was taking place by certain political parties, as well as the no vote that was promoted primarily by the Shore Group, which is linked to Russia and is part of Russian Find Me operations in Moldova.
Yeah, and how do you explain the sharp division in the yes and no vote? What does it tell us about the Moldovan electorate?
Well, we have been aware of the fact that Moldova is a polarized country in terms of geopolitical preferences of the population. I believe that was one of the reasons why the EU integration has been used by certain political forces, while the others, like Shore Group, was promoting the integration with the Eurasian Union and with Russia. So this kind of different perspectives of the population is present in the society and is very much driven by the social economic issues like poverty, opportunities, emigration because of lack of opportunities in the country.
Historically, though, why would many of Moldovans then support the pro-Russian stance in this referendum?
Well, historically, we have regions in the country like Gagauz autonomy or Russian-speaking minorities that live in the north of the country as well. We have a breakaway region, a Transnistrian separatist region that is also pro-Russian. So there are different ways through which Russian voices are heard, but they usually become visible during the elections. So this is the moment when we see really how the population think. And unfortunately, the fact that many people are leaving the country and they live for residing in the EU, we see that these pro-EU votes in the country, they are diminishing, while those that are pro-Russian, they obviously stay in place because the population is aging, as well as becoming more conservative and tends to prefer the points of view that Russia is spreading in the region.
Now, the pro-EU incumbent, Maia Sandu, she's accusing Russia of interference, as I mentioned earlier. Now, there are serious claims about Russia paying people to vote in a certain way. How credible are these reports?
Well, we have the reports that were presented 3 days before the elections by the intelligence service, as well the national police institutions. So they were showing evidence of different networks, up to 130,000 people were involved in them. But what was presented yesterday or today by the official sources is about 300,000 people that were somehow paid or bribed to vote in a certain way, which is a much bigger number. So we have questions about how the state institutions are working to prevent this from happening. So if we know about these numbers, then why these networks still are operating and are able to actually influence the behavior of the voters? We don't have these answers yet, but I believe that this moment is important, one, in order to draw lessons from what has been done in a wrong way.
So if Russia is wanting to interfere, why is it such a strategic significance? Why is Moldova such of significance to Russia, given they don't share a border and it's, by population, a very small country?
Well, you're rightly pointing out that this is not a big importance country for Russia, but we have to look at this through the geopolitical context, right? Moldova has been very important for Ukraine. It's about stability and it's about the geopolitical stand that has the official part of Moldova. So for Russia, it's important to change the political dynamics in Moldova and to switch the attention from this pro-EU vector into something that Russia would prefer, which is a balanced foreign policy that is common to what Hungary, Serbia, or Georgia is doing at the moment. So I believe that the interest is more about geopolitical wins, and it's about Ukraine and its stability at the western borders.
Denis, how do you think this is being viewed on the other end of the spectrum by Brussels or the European Commission?
Well, if to be honest, Brussels is in a little shock because the surveys were showing a comfortable win, which somehow probably has to be also revised in order to make sure that that Brussels and the EU institutions are informing themselves from different sources, not only from surveys that tend to favor Maya Sandu and her political party. What is also clear is that the attention that has been given to Moldova by the EU, by NATO, but by member states of these two organizations was sufficient enough, but was not very efficient in terms of preventing Russia from influencing these elections. So probably these techniques that Russia has used will be obviously replicated in other places. So it's a right moment for the EU and NATO to learn from this miss in the elections that took place in Moldova.
Now, the incumbent Maya Sandu, she won the first round with 40% of the vote. How do you think the second round is shaping up with the main rival, Alexander Stoyanoglu, with the pro-Russian Party of Socialists?
Well, it will be a very tough round for Maya Sandu because she didn't take part in debates. She refused to take part in debates during the first round, while Stoyanoglu was training himself. So he's not a Romanian-speaking person. His native language is Russian, but he was really doing a lot of this training in different places across the country. So I believe that he has been preparing himself for the second round. I'm not sure about Maya Sandu that she is really ready, but hopefully her team made everything possible to really learn from the narratives that Stoyanoglu is using. And it's also true to mention that Stoyanoglu has been somehow softening his pro-EU views, and he was more and more speaking about having a strategic dialogue with Russia. So he was really taking over certain narratives of the Socialist Party that is backing him. He's not the member of this party, but he needed this party in order to compete against Maya Sandu. Now they're going to be in the runoff head-to-head.
So if Stoyanoglu does win, do you expect him to respect the results of the referendum and push ahead with EU membership?
Well, these results should be validated by the Constitutional Court and by the Parliament, so it should become part of the Constitution. These results will be obviously respected. What will not be probably respected in terms of political games and political disputes is the interpretation of the results. We have to acknowledge that we have 49% of the population that voted, not 50 plus 1, but 49. Out of 49, we have 50 plus a margin win in favor of the yes camp. So it will be a lot of disinformation, probably propaganda that will be used, including by Russia, in order to undermine the credibility of this result. So I believe that this will be actually the most important aspect of this referendum, that it will not be trusted by the population. And it will be also a very big miss for Maya Sandu in the second round as well, the parliamentary elections next year.
And given what you've just said about the voter turnout, is the boycotts and the propaganda the only reason why half the voting public didn't vote?
Well, I like that you are really pointing to the problems that are not discussed that much outside of this country. We have also pro-EU voters that are against Maia Sandu. So we have a protest vote that has been also used during these elections, and it should not be discounted because we see that there are alternative pro-EU political parties that have been overlooked during this 4 years of Maia Sandu's presidency.
Okay, Denis Cenusa, really good to get your analysis on this. Thanks very much.
Thank you for the invitation.